family? CTR Media Network. Yeah. Best in the biz. Yeah. Join the team. CTR is who we are, the media network, that's the best by far. Whether you listen at your home, at your job, in your car, come get the information that's needed above par. Never lasting, motivational podcasting, giving you the answers to the questions that you're asking. Serious talks and topics, how to come up and profit, how to better yourself, your health is here, we got it. Reaching 350 million, they tuning in. We in 50 different countries, we all can. And like-minded, find your purpose and your assignment. Come get your fix, your feel, your mental alignment. Get active and speak to the masses. Build your influence all levels and all classes. Now you know you can monetize and grow. CTR Media Network. Start the show. CTR Media Network.
Welcome to CTR Media Network TV. Today's guest is someone who truly understands the mechanics behind powerful communication. She's a successful entrepreneur who has built multiple seven-figure companies, a best-selling author, and the founder of Same Page Publishing. Her book, Turn Words into Wealth, won Outstanding Nonfiction Book of the Year, and she's been featured everywhere, from ABC TV to Oprah Radio. But she's not just a business. She's also the creative force behind a hit young adult fantasy series that won Reader's Choice Best Teen Book. From the neuroscience of communication to turning books into movies, from the art of story selling to building a legacy in the age of AI. This episode is going to inspire, educate, and empower you to speak and succeed on purpose. Please welcome to the show, the phenomenal Aurora Winter.
Thank you for that, Tina. I love that intro. And how we can help your audience turn their words into wealth.
Yes, I'm so excited about that because many times we speak these words, but we don't know what to do with these words.
You gotta have strategy.
Yeah. So I am so happy that you are here on today. And speaking of wealth, because you are the woman of the hour dealing with wealth and how to place that. So you speak about words into wealth. So what's the first step someone should take when they're trying to turn their words into wealth, especially when they're just starting out?
Well, I think the main mistake that people make when they're writing a book is they don't think beyond the book. And so tragically, most self-published books don't even sell 100 copies in their lifetime. I just launched a book for a client and she sold 2,000 books in the first week. And to put that in perspective, if she'd had 1,000 more sold, she might have been, a USA Today best-selling author. So there is a strategy behind how to do a book launch. There's also a strategy on how to use a book as the beginning of your relationship with the reader instead of thinking of it as the end of your relationship. And that's where I think most people make the mistake. They don't see the book as an appetizer and that they've got a whole buffet to offer.
All right. Now, I never even thought about a book being the introduction to who you are, because many times I have not even heard anyone even mention a book in this way. And so now I understand a little bit more about how you can turn your words into wealth, because viewing it from that perspective, you're constantly building. You're building. So you built multiple seven-figure businesses. So how would you say storytelling directly played a role in you scaling up your ventures of your businesses?
Oh, I'd love to jump into that. But just to finish off on the last point, the highest paid profession is to be a public speaker. And public speakers need a book. That is the price of entry. Just because, like, for example, you wouldn't work with a dentist who wasn't an MD. You wouldn't have a surgeon who didn't have his MD. It's the same as a speaker. You need to have a book. So moving on to businesses. Yeah, I am a diehard entrepreneur. I've launched my first business in my 20s, went on to launch a film and television production company, raised $5 million. We made 8 films. And I've been in different industries, coach training, selling boats as tax shelters, the yacht sales industry, the television industry. And now I'm in the publishing industry. So what is the common denominator? People are like, Aurora, what was the same? What was the same between all of these different industries was my words that turned words into, that created businesses or created wealth. So everybody has $1 million message, but most people don't take the time to really think through what is their $1 million message and how to distill it. So for example, Brene Brown, power in vulnerability. Wow. Or Tim Ferriss, the 4-hour work week. Wow. Or when I was in the yacht sales industry, it was 4 weeks of sun, fun, and tax shelter. What? That doesn't go together. Tell me more. So, and now that I'm helping people publish books, the bottom line is that most first-time authors spend 3.5 years writing their book, and then they only sell 100 copies over the lifetime. And what I specialize in is helping experts write books that make a difference and become best-selling, award-winning books that generate 7 figures in their business.
Now that is great, because for the simple fact is, when I think about thought leaders, there are some thought leaders that I run across, and the very first thing that I ask them is, after I hear what they say and I want to learn more, is, where's your book? Yeah. And so when I meet a thought leader that do not have a book, the very first question I ask is, why don't you have a book? Because it seems like the thing that you should always do if you have a business, if you are a thought leader, or you're anyone that's leading. So do you agree with that or not? Because that's just how I personally feel.
Absolutely. Really, the root of the word authority is author. So if you really are an authority, you got to be an author. And you're an author of books, I see. Tell me about your books and how they have changed your life.
Oh, yeah. So for me, the power of podcasting, right? And so I do podcasting. The best way for me to be able to help more people is to put it in a book, and also to keep the conversation going. Yeah. Most people who read the book, they want to know how to do it, do all the mechanics of it. And I can answer the questions that they're going to come along with it because of my experience. So I love it because it opens up a conversation, and it's an easy way, with the way that I teach, to duplicate myself more than one time and be able to see a measurable impact, because I have people saying, hey, I read your book and I started my podcast. Hey, guess what? I never thought I could do this. I thought, it only for people who have 1 million followers. You're right. So it opened up an opportunity for me to make more income. I didn't know I could do that. And so for me, it's just a talking statement, but also just something that's leaving legacy. Even when I'm no longer here, my children can still receive the residuals from the book. So,
and you're a mini celebrity. Now that you're an author, you're a celebrity, right? You're not only a podcast host, you're a celebrity.
Well, okay, you said it. I don't know, but yeah, it do make you stand out above all the rest. It does.
It does. Well, the nice thing about a book is you can make such a difference, because people ask you the same questions over and over, and it would be exhausting for you to answer 100,000 people asking the same questions. But in your book, you can answer those questions. And then for the VIPs who want to hire you as a speaker or work with you as a consultant or come on your show, well, that's a different thing, right? So I love books. I think books are the best investment. In fact, in this book, Turn Words into Wealth, I have a 90-day challenge. People can get this book for free if they want to go to turnwordsintowealth.com, or they can get it wherever books are sold. But the 90-day challenge is to write every day, read every day, and then once a week, review what you have written. The first time I did this 90-day challenge, it blew me away. It changed my life. So by writing every day, you will notice things that you're complaining about. After 90 days, you really have to either stop complaining, deal with the thing, or just let it go if it's something that can't be changed. And then read every day, even 5 minutes, read Tina's books, read Turn Words into Wealth, read great books, read Atomic Habits by James Clear. 5 minutes a day over 90 days, it actually will change your life if you're reading good material. And then once every week, review review what you are reading, review what you've written, and then you will naturally course correct. So that's the 90-day challenge.
I love it. We hear these 30-day challenges, but the fact that you're doing 90 days, you are definitely developing a habit at that point. Whether or not you want to correct it or not, but that's up to you. But 90 days, you'll be able to solidify all the different things. And like you said, if you do have a habit of complaining about XYZ, you can fix it within those 90 days. So I'm excited about seeing the 90-day challenge, because I have never seen a 90-day challenge for a book. But one thing that I like about what you do is that you use neuroscience and you speak about that. So what's the neuroscience of communication? And could you explain that a little bit, neuroscience, for individuals that may not be familiar with that terminology?
Oh, I love that question, Tina. Well, most people think that the message sent is the message received. It's just not true. So when you understand the neuroscience of communication, you need to just take 3 steps to make your communication much more effective. The first step, and they each appeal to different parts of the brain. So when we send the verbal equivalent of an Excel spreadsheet to somebody, we don't have permission yet. So we're trying to talk to their cerebral cortex, and we don't have permission. First, we have to get through the gatekeepers. So the first gatekeeper is the reptilian brain, the ancient brain. And it is always looking, is this new? Is this different? What's in this for me? Is this something yummy to eat? Is this something to be afraid of, but not so frightened that I shut down? So that would be equivalent to the subject line on an email, or the title of a book, Turn Words into Wealth. You kind of know, oh, there's the benefit, turn words into wealth. So do that first. It takes longer to explain it than to do it. And then the second step, which a lot of people miss, is the midbrain. Human beings survived for millennia, not because we're faster or we don't have sharper teeth. We have so many things. We are slow and we have no fur, but we survived. Why? Because of tribes. So we are always on the lookout for social proof. Who else thinks this is interesting? So with this book, for example, as you said, Tina, it won the Reader's Choice Award, Best Nonfiction Book in its category, which is publishing. Social proof. Okay, so now we've done those 2 steps. Now we can go on and tell a little story or add more value. So for example, a little soundbite and a little story would be, did you know that the value of adding a story can be 27-fold the revenue? This was shocking. So in a book called Significant Objects, they reported on a study. They put 100 distinct objects on eBay with a story or without a story. The stories were written by 100 different people. Some were amateur, some were professional writers. They just added significance. They didn't add hype. And the result was the item sold for 27 times more. So if you're failing to add a story, you're failing to add significance, and you could be losing out on 27 times. And just to give an example of what I mean by significance, there might have been pot mitts for sale, and people would say, I remember coming home after school, my grandma would use these pot mitts to pull out chocolate chip cookies, and I love that. You're not getting the grandma, you're not getting the cookies, but suddenly those pot mitts are more significant. There's more meaning. So we can add stories that add meaning. And if you're not doing that, you're missing out.
Wow. Just that alone, if you're selling a book, having a story attached to it, it creates that connection and something that you can pull from. Because just when you said grandma, initially I received a visual picture of my own grandma. Now I know you want to talk about mine, but that's what what my mind mentally just did. And now I'm like, I think I need a new mitt. And no, I don't need a new mitt. I'm like, maybe I need to go to Amazon after this interview and get me a new mitt. So I could be close to my grandma. But you're right. When we thinking about what we say, how we say it, and most importantly, the way we present it with a story that people can identify with, I see why they made 27 times more, because you have that emotional connection.
Exactly. So I have a little story that's very relatable about Superman. So you may know there's a new Superman coming out in July 2025. So a lot of excitement around that movie. But I would say that Superman was saved by kryptonite. So why do I say that? The Superman franchise almost died because Superman was invincible. Nothing, was not interesting. And this is a mistake that I think a lot of businesses, brands, and thought leaders make. They try to be invincible. They try to show only the airbrushed, only the perfect, only the final result. It's boring, and it also doesn't create trust. So don't be like the old Superman where he was like invincible and could stop, anything, anytime, anywhere. You want to be the Superman who has flaws. You want to be the Superman who has kryptonite. You want to be the Superman who doesn't quite know how to connect with Lois Lane. Because when you share the drawbacks, or when you share your own hero's journey of overcoming struggle, then people will connect with you. Just like you had the image of your grandmother when I mentioned the grandmother, invite people into your story and be inspired by Hollywood movies, because there's always the hero's journey. There would be no hero if day one, he got to the Holy Grail and there was no problem. The hero's journey happens because there's a big goal that's meaningful. And then there's challenges, there's problems, there's mentors, there's betrayal, there's allies. And then finally, the hero does something wonderful and then helps humanity with it. And that same story structure, any business can use. And there's more story structures in the book, Turn Words into Wealth, because I love to turn it into formulas, turn it into simple blueprints that anyone can use.
Wow. So speaking of formulas, because you gave us that, what we do with our words, but how can people really create multiple streams of income and impact with their book that they currently have, or the book that they desire to write in the future to brand their business?
Well, I think first of all, they need to think through the strategy. So every nonfiction book solves a problem, or it should solve a problem. But once that problem is solved, what is the next problem that the person has? So think through that. For example, if you happen to be writing a book about having a baby, let's take that example. So, what to expect when you're expecting, when you're pregnant. Okay, so maybe you do everything you can to solve all of the problems that a pregnant woman would be facing in your book, What to Expect When You're Expecting. There is a book by that title. What happens after? Well, she has the baby. Now it's like what to expect in the first year of life, and then what to expect in the second year of life, and then how to get your kid into preschool. So anytime you solve a problem, there is a next problem. So think about that, and then invite people to your website, or to get a sequence of videos, or to work with you one-on-one to solve the next problem. So for example, I did my best not to hold anything back in Turn Words into Wealth. You can read this book and you can go ahead and execute without my help. But naturally, some people think, well, that sounds like a lot of work. Could you just do it for me, Aurora? And so those people, go to samepagepublishing.com and they sign up for a business breakthrough call. And yes, of course, I can do it for them. I can do it with them. So certain percentage of people will want the VIP white glove solution. Or if that's not what you're up to, a certain percentage of the readers will want to hire you as a speaker, hire you as a consultant. What is the next step? Or maybe they want to turn it into a movie, like as you mentioned at the get-go. I've written a trilogy for young adults called Magic, Mystery, and the Multiverse, and BBC is interested in turning it into, a 12-part half-hour series. So I'll keep you posted on that.
Definitely keep me posted on that. Congratulations. Even the cover looked very, very interesting. So
it's a nice cover.
Of your book, why did you decide to start writing fiction books?
Well, I actually started off writing fiction. I'm an award-winning screenwriter. I worked as an executive in film and television. So I was in the fiction or the drama world for decades. And then I shifted into nonfiction because it was more practical to help people. It's obvious that if you have a business or you want to be a speaker or you're a coach or consultant, it's pretty obvious that you need a book. Like you said, Tina, where's your book? Right?
Where is it? Come on.
But I do also help people who are writing fiction. And in fact, I'm going to a media festival with my clients in 2 weeks because some of them have fiction books that could be made into TV movies or feature films. So we'll see if we can cook up some deals at the media festival for them. So I think life should be fun. So yes, do what's practical and have a good strategic plan and find a way to be of greater service, but also to monetize your message, but then also have fun. So for me, fun is making a difference to others and being creative. I have a new YouTube channel called Strategic Basics, and that's really fun for me because what I do is I look at breaking news and turn it into business breakthroughs. So I get a chance to comment on things like Superman was saved by kryptonite. That's coming up next week's episode on Strategic Basics on YouTube.
That sounds really, really good. So being that you are an award-winning author, you have experience in film and all of this dealing with media. My question to you, with everything that's evolving with this new digital world of AI, ChatGPT, Kickstarter, and all these different names that we can ramble off the top of our head, how do you feel about it? What do you think about these particular platforms?
That is the $1 million question, isn't it, Tina? Like about a year ago, I was terrified. But now I've been working with Chat and Claude and Notebook LM and other things. And I really see that it's the human being who has the expertise or the stories or the creativity. And if you don't have a human being, you get garbage, garbage in, garbage out. And so I'm leaning into it because it's here. The genie's out of the bottle. I'm choosing to lean into it as a magnifier of our own creativity. I think it's important to double down on being human, to really lean into what are your flaws? What's your kryptonite? What are your superpowers? What do you care about? How would you love to impact the world? And what legacy do you want to leave? All of these things are very personal to you. And then, yes, if you can use ChatGPT or other platforms to help you get more clear or to do your research or to create your thumbnails or whatever, more power to you. And for example, my son is a video game designer and he's all excited. He spent 10 years making his first video game. He did everything. 10 years. He made Sky as Arrows. It's on Steam. And now he's saying with Vibe, he thinks he can make a video game in a month. 10 years versus 1 month. So I think AI is going to, it could create an explosion of creativity because projects that were too costly in terms of time were abandoned. And now those projects, which may be in somebody's heart as their creative joy, could be expressed. So I am looking at the glass as half full. What about you, Tina? What do you think?
At first, I was like, nope, no ma'am, no sir. Like, I don't really know. Thinking about some of the movies, Terminator and all that, I'm like, I don't know. But then later on, I started using ChatGPT maybe about 2 years ago, something similar to it, playing with a little bit. But then I started growing an appreciation for it. Because like you said, for a person that is a creative like myself, sometimes you get to these roadblocks and you can't quite get past that particular roadblock. So you stop and maybe you don't go back to that particular project because mentally you just like, I don't know what the next step is. Who do I talk to about this? Or even if anyone will quite understand the thought process in my mind with something that is not here yet, right? And so ChatGPT or Copilot, whichever one you decide to use, has really helped me be able to clarify my message, simplify my message, and widen my thinking on certain things because it will give you a different perspective on the same thing that you're doing. So it has its good things, but it also has its other things that I don't like. But for the most part, I do see how it is really giving entrepreneurs, especially ones who may be solopreneurs and have no team. I'm blessed to have a team, but it gives them the opportunity to be able to do more things, to be able to get something finally written down and work their thoughts out of their mind into on paper. And I feel that that is the key that most people don't do. Entrepreneurs, we work too much in our head and we don't have enough things written down. And for me, that was one of the things that it actually done for me, to the greater extent, because I do write things down, but I'm talking about on a greater level and quicker, getting from point A to point B quicker. So I do like it. I do like it for that, but I don't feel that individuals should be totally dependent on it, where you lose all the creativity and now you're sounding like a robot. I feel like the nuances of what make us human beings, you don't have to be afraid, like I was in the beginning, that we're going to get replaced. We're not going to get replaced.
Yeah, because if it's just, it's the human being that makes it good. The other thing I was thinking about is really doubling down on being human. And so I think it's worth writing books, even if you never publish the book. It's worth writing a book because it forces you to distill your stories, to distill your expertise, to get it right down to the gold nuggets and the diamonds and get rid of all the mud that's around it. And that clarifies you as a human being. The other reason I started a YouTube channel, the new one is called Strategic Basics. What I do when I create books with people is I interview them. So it's on video. But what I'm doing with Strategic Basics is each chapter is a video. And the videos come out first on YouTube. But then the book, Strategic Basics, will be published. And you can read it or you can click on the link and go watch the video. And the reason I did that is I'm like, how can I double down on being human? How can I let people see who I am? I think video, like we're doing today, is great because it's a human being. Well, more or less, deep fakes exist, but this is not a deep fake. This is live. And I wanted to show people who I am, what I care about, the stories that attract my interest, and then create value with them because it's always breaking news, but then business breakthroughs with some actionable items for people. So I would encourage people that if you can have the trifecta of having a book and then having videos and then being a guest expert, being a speaker on podcasts or on the TED stage or speaking at conferences, that is the trifecta of a real expert. A book, videos, probably on YouTube, and then speaking, whether it's on podcasts or on stage.
I agree. You need all three because it solidifies you, because people going to do their IR, their independent research, and whatever we feel that will qualify a person to be in a particular niche, if we're looking for them for assistance, we have our own personal checklist. Like for me, if I see someone that is saying they're a thought leader on whatever the topic is, the very first thing I'm going to ask is, where's your book? Yeah. Because I know whatever little conversation we're having right now is going to be expanded in your book. And so I want to read the book. And now you're saying that you are actually working on a book where you're doing video. Okay. See, now that's a whole different situation, because many times for ones with short attention spans, video is going to catch them more than just sitting. Some people cannot sit down and read an entire book, but they can sit down and watch a video, or they can sit down or move around, I should say, and listen to an audio. Yeah. So the fact that you're pulling that all together, it kind of reminds me of our Homeschooling Interactive magazine, where we use a blend between taking them from a blog to a conference that we talked about that, so they can see it. I like interactive content so that the reader can go on a journey. because you can easily lose your concentration, get bored, or whatever the case may be. But when
I
you just mentioned, I was like, ooh, I want that right now. Let me go remember this YouTube channel. I'm like, I'm going to watch it right now. Like, instead of watching television, I'm going to watch that, a channel. So it's great.
I don't think anybody's ever done this, or if they have, I don't know about it. Like audiobooks are super popular, but I'm like, what about a video book? So I'm taking it to the next level just for funsies, and people can check that out on YouTube at Strategic Basics if they'd like.
Yeah, it is. We have to learn how to adapt and leverage these platforms and these technologies and these tools in order to connect better with individuals. And I feel that video is one of the most powerful ways to do it, because they feel like they know you already. And I feel like being in the podcast space for so long, now that we're transitioning into video, quote unquote, podcast, which can be a hot topic for ones who are veterans. They're like, no, it's just audio. I'm like, no, we're transitioning. They're starting to accept video. It's a reason why we're going to video. And so I particularly like it. So we're speaking about a lot of different things that you said you like to do, and you like to have fun. So that's why you like fiction and nonfiction books. That's why you like to have the different illustrations dealing with Superman, and how you decide to present yourself with your books and your speaking. So what is one thing that you've learned recently that surprised you or just delighted you, put a smile on your face?
Wow. Well, one thing that has delighted and surprised me is the way that it is contributing to my growth as a human being to do a YouTube channel. Like, I have the Aurora Winter YouTube channel for a long time, and it's clips of various podcasts, but that's easy for me. But being forced to watch the news, see what stories are interesting, and then see if there's some kind of breakaway or breakthrough business tips. So, for example, I did a YouTube video about Cory Booker's talk going viral. So that was very interesting for me to research Cory Booker and research, how did his talk go viral? How did that man talk for 25 hours? That was pretty amazing. And then what are the business breakthrough ideas for other people? And I think Cory Booker's talk, the takeaway for entrepreneurs and thought leaders or podcasters is, how can you turn a moment into a viral moment? Like, he didn't just speak to the live audience. He spoke basically to TikTok. So he had his team ready to live stream the moments that were emotional and chop them up. But he turned it into a viewing event because nobody knew he was going to do that. And he started it partway through. And then people are like, ooh, let's watch this. It turned it into an event. Let's watch Cory Booker live. So I've had a lot of fun leaning into the news, and it's amazing how you usually can tease apart, or I can tease apart, some valuable business lesson from something that just happened. So that's fun.
You sound like you enjoyed yourself a lot, and someone being live for that amount of hours, just in itself, trying to see when they're going to stop. You're like, okay, I'm just going to watch to see when it's going to end. And then here we go, 10 hours in, 11 hours in. You're like, wait a minute. I think he has something here. So you have been so amazing today on the show. I want you to tell us how our people can get in contact with you to find out more about what you do and how you do it.
Oh, well, thanks, Tina. Well, I think the best thing is grab a copy of Turn Words into Wealth. Go to Amazon or any bookstore if you want to have your own personal print copy. Or if you like reading ebooks, you can get the ebook for free at turnwordsintowealth.com. And then if you, on the other hand, have kids or you like reading young adult fantasy, it's a trilogy. The third book's coming out on Kickstarter in a couple of months, but you can get Magic, Mystery, and the Multiverse for free on Amazon if you grab it this month. So Magic, Mystery, and the Multiverse, you can start reading the trilogy for free, and it's a Reader's Choice Book Award. And then if you happen to be in the 1% of people who are like, okay, that sounds great, Aurora, but could you just do it with me or for me? You can go to same page publishing.com, because I come on the same page as my clients, and you can sign up for a business breakthrough call with me, and I'll jump on a call and see if I can help you.
I love it. I love it. So is there anything else you would like to share with the viewing and listening audience before we go, just in case we missed something?
Well, I think what I really want to say is that writing a book is important. And if you feel like you have a message, please start writing your book. Don't even worry about who's going to read it for now. Just start with my 90-day challenge. Write every day, read every day, review what you have read and what you have written every week. And let that guide you and inform you. And if you've learned something useful over the course of your life that you wish somebody had told you 10 or 20 years ago, that could be your book, and you could change lives. And also, books are so cool because, as you said, Tina, you are mentoring people. You will be mentoring people even after you're gone. I hope you live to 125, but you can mentor people even after you've gone. And I've been mentored by many great people like Ralph Waldo Emerson and C.S. Lewis after they were dead and gone, but their books inspired and touched and led me. So you can do this.
I love it. And for all of you that's sitting on the sidelines, this is your confirmation to go ahead and write the book. Okay. So many people have, I would call it book anxiety. They know they need to do it, and they deep down, they want to do it, but I don't know. They just don't do it. But I feel like with this particular episode, it's going to make them kickstart their book, okay? And go ahead and write it, because we definitely need you. We need your voice, because books, like I said, or I would say like Aurora said earlier, if you find yourself consistently repeating something over and over and over again, people asking you the same thing, listen, put it in a book. Put it in a book so that you won't have, you can just say it's in my book. Go ahead and get it. It's in my book.
Exactly right.
On that note, you guys have a great, amazing rest of your day. Today, we had the amazing Aurora Winter. She actually told us and showed us how you can turn your words into wealth. And I love how she breaks down the neuroscience by bringing in storytelling and helping us to see how we can actually use this AI. And you don't have to be afraid anymore for authors and entrepreneurs. For those of you who are listening in, of course, you can't see the screen, but for those of you who are watching on YouTube TV or any of the TV streaming platforms, make sure to tell a friend to scan me. Yes. If you're watching us on social media right now, it won't hurt. Just go ahead and touch the screen. Scan me now. Come on. Scan me and download the CTR Media Network app on today so you can watch this episode and so many more on CTR Media Network TV, along with over 30 plus shows that you can learn in every single part of your life, whether it's entrepreneurship, education, entertainment. The list goes on and on. Find the show that resonates with you and just keep watching it until you be able to have your breakthrough. You guys have a great, amazing rest of the day. And I will see you next week, same time, same place. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Talk to you later. Bye.